I'm Kevin Craven.
I'm Brandon Alexander, and this is Vibeable,
where we invite you to tune in and catch a vibe. I gotta switch to my podcast voice.
You have a podcast voice?
I do.
Oh, what? So wait, what is this your podcast voice?
We're getting closer and closer.
Wait, I didn't get the memo. I mean, now I want a podcast voice.
I mean, you don't have to have a podcast voice.
Is a podcast voice just like a frame of mind, or are you actually physically changing?
You know, it's a little bit of both. I have to mentally get to that space, and I have to physically just kind of switch over to less bassy. I have to fully wake up because I in the morning time I'm never fully awake. So it's just it's a couple things.
Yeah, and morning time I feel is like bassy time, like you were saying.
Oh, it's very
bassy.
There's
a lot of bass in the morning.
It's very bassy, yes, and that's not podcasty.
No, we don't want to be putting our listeners to sleep with our
bass
registers. Yeah. Get that bass out of here. Can I get some treble, please?
Yes, please and thank you. Please and thank you.
To our sound guy, treble, please. Yes. He's so great, ain't he, Kev? He's so great. Or she. They're great.
The sound guy is amazing. Yes.
Which is a rarity. No shade to sound guys, but musicians out there, you know what I'm talking about. You go to the venue, all you want is like, you know, your mic plugged in, maybe an amp, maybe a little, I don't know, some computer thing. And sometimes you get a sound guy who's just rolling his eyes at every simple request you have sometimes.
Well, sound guys at music venues, yes. A lot of them are awful, but I feel like engineers for podcasts are different because it's more personable.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an important distinction. Venue sound guy, and they're not all right. There've been rare occasions where you have a gig and you're like, oh my gosh, well, they're attentive and they answered every request that I had, and I could signal to them during the show, and they actually make adjustments. But
great, nice. Yeah, some of them are nice.
It's not. Yeah, some of them are nice.
I had you on speaker for a lot of that, by the way. I just took you off.
That's cool. So
I was like, something's off here.
Possibly not usable.
I just sometimes I need that reminder. Awesome. Like, sometimes I need that reminder. And off speaker, because I really, right. I be messing up out here, you know? And I'm not a morning person. That's no excuse. It's no excuse. We're not going to make excuses, right?
It's no excuse, but it is a fact. It is a fact. I can attest that you're not, and I'm not either. Yet here we are, creating this wonderful, wonderful content for everyone listening.
You know,
thank you for joining us.
And you mentioned excuses. Now, I want to get your take on something. So, there's an actress named Sweeney. Are you familiar with her?
I'm not. I'll look her
she
up.
Was in.
Tell me about
apparently, she was in Euphoria.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
If you're able
to
look her up. Okay, so Sydney was recently at her mom's 60th birthday celebration, where her family members had on Blue Lives Matter shirts, and pictures were taken and then posted to her social media. And of course, she got ate up and she got dragged. And she had what I would call a very white woman response. And I'm going to read it to you. She posted it on Twitter. She said, "You guys, This is wild. An innocent celebration for my mom's milestone 60th birthday has turned into an absurd political statement, which was not the intention. Please stop making assumptions. Much love to everyone and happy birthday, Mom." So, Brandon, based on what I just said to you about Sydney, based on all of it, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And then I'll give you mine.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's important to consider her age. I feel like 20 somethings, her position might be, don't drag me simply because I'm in a picture with other people with a Blue Lives Matter shirt. So that could be where she's coming from. Like, she's getting personally assaulted for people who aren't her, for individuals who aren't her, who support the Blue Lives Matter movement. So that might be where her defensiveness is coming from. But I don't know. That's tough, man. That's tough, especially when it wasn't her wearing the shirt. It was other people, and then she's having to defend them. And it happened at an event that meant a lot to her, I guess, and her family, her mom's birthday. So, yeah, that's a tough one. What are your thoughts?
So here's my take on it. I feel like, and I don't know if you know this or not, but black women are expected from very young ages to take on a lot. They're expected to take on a lot. They're expected to be strong all the time, and they're expected to be very knowledgeable. And when it comes to white women, I do feel like they often get a pass. They get a pass. Oh, well, and even you said she's 24. Like, at that point, for a black woman, she has experienced so much. She has been expected to be so strong by the age of 24, and 24. I get it. 24 black women, 24 white women, they're different. They're different worlds, right? And I feel like that line needs to go away. I feel like if you're 24 years old, you need to take accountability. She said, don't make assumptions. Now, what kind of assumptions are people making? People saw the shirts and they didn't like it. Now, I don't have this experience, obviously, because I'm not white. But if I was white and I wasn't a racist, I'm not hanging around racist family members. I understand it's your mother's 60th birthday, and there's not much you can do about that. You want to be around her, but I'm not. I know I have friends of friends who will not go around certain family members based on their political beliefs. And instead of saying stop making assumptions, because no assumptions were made. Like, people saw the shirts and called you out because you're there. You're a part of it. And that's the problem. You being there and celebrating with these people makes you a part of the problem, in my opinion. You're there hanging out with racists, and I know they're your family, but I mean, so let me ask you this, Brandon. Are you going to go and hang around racist family members?
No, I mean, I can think of, there've been plenty of instances where, when certain people were still around, it was the case, and I didn't really have much say in the matter. If it was a holiday, if it was, some other big occasion. But I also feel like just commenting on a photo like that, we are missing out on potential moments that happened, like, in person. Like, what if she made a comment? What if she had talked to them about what they were wearing and disagreeing with that movement?
Based on her response, it's not giving that. It's not giving that at all. I feel like her response
I'm pretty
was a
wary
cop-out.
about. I don't know. I'm wary about casting judgment based on just an image, and her response is also informed by what everyone else's responses were initially to the photos. So it's not even like she's just from a free space responding to a photo. She's having to be defensive in her response. I don't know. I feel like I would do my best not to make excuses. So if the issue is that, she's kind of making excuses for the members of her family that were wearing those shirts, I could see that issue.
I feel like there was no accountability taken. I feel like you could have said something like, or she could have said something like, yes, I have racist family members. Unfortunately, I'm not around them a lot. I don't share their beliefs, but this is my mother's 60th birthday, and I really just wanted to celebrate her. There was no accountability. It's like kind of playing the victim a little bit and saying stop making assumptions, which people were making assumptions. Like they were in the picture. Like there was the proof right there. So yeah. Yeah. I was curious to hear your thoughts. Moving on to the next topic. That being Aries Spears, his comments on Lizzo. Oh boy, were you able to watch that video?
I was. I did watch that video.
Okay.
How did you come upon this video to begin with? Was it just like floating around on?
Oh,
on
it's
Twitter?
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah, everyone has heard about it.
And what was the context of that interview? Like, because to me, the interviewer, it seemed one pretty casual. Like, I feel like I wondered if that wasn't just like clickbait in a way, because it just seemed like I don't know. Like I don't know the context of that interview, but the thought occurred to me of I could see Aries Spears being like, "Oh man, I got this idea for this video, bro. Can you just like turn on the camera, hit record, and then just like prompt me with these lines?" I don't know. It seemed like the interviewer himself seemed to be posing questions. They seem to be.
Why does the context matter?
Because I think that there's a possibility that he did that just to generate the buzz, or just to get whatever the press is, positive or negative.
Which still makes it wrong, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one would be. It still makes it wrong.
So what difference would the context make here? The fact that he just wanted people to click on the video?
Well, the context makes a difference because if he just made the video to get clicks, then that doesn't necessarily mean that he's believing anything that he's saying.
Okay. Are these are your thoughts on it? This is what you.
Well, I mean that was my initial thought. I mean, say it is genuine. My mind then goes to a lot of what Chappelle talks about and how he defends stand-up. I don't know. People saying offensive things, as unpleasant as it can be, my general stance is, it should be allowed. I'm very cautious to infringe on anyone's Second Amendment rights, First Amendment rights. History lesson, but freedom of speech, I think, is something that we have to be tolerant of. So yeah, he was, talking unkindly about Lizzo, but there was an air of he was doing material. I don't know. Comedy is this kind of gray area where is the person just voicing their own opinion, or is it from the standpoint of being a comedian, and then so he has free reign to kind of explore these topics and these thoughts and these takes on people and things. So and as poor taste as it came out, I can't necessarily say that he shouldn't have done so.
Okay. All right. Well, this was an interview that he was having, and oh man, wow, yeah, that's an interesting answer. So I want to say this was not a stand-up. This was an interview, and instead of answering the question about Lizzo's music, you go and Aries Spears, you go and you talk about her weight and how her body is shaped a certain way, and you just go in on her. This was not this was not him at a stand-up show. You were having an interview that you turned into this moment of you dragging a fat black woman. And you can have your opinion, especially as a stand-up comedian on stage, but if you're having an interview, and even still, you can have your opinion, but just be aware that your opinion is going to come with some backlash. Now, Aries Spears, a lot of black men, are very comfortable dragging black women and slandering. They're so comfortable just saying shit about black women, and it's so tired. If Lizzo was a fat white woman, you never hear black men dragging white women. It's black women. And that shit is rooted in white supremacy. And it's so late and it's so tired. Now, a lot of people attacked Aries Spears' weight and how he looks a mess. I don't think it's right to attack his weight, because that's also fat phobic. And that's what we're trying to get away from, is it's talking about people's weight. But I will say that he does look a fucking mess. He's not doing anything with his career. Like, no one knows who the fuck he is. No one has seen him since Mad TV. And I think that black men like that, who are so comfortable talking about black women, y'all need fucking therapy. Y'all need to look at yourselves. Y'all need to look within yourselves and see where that shit is coming from, because it's so late and it's so tired, and I'm so over it. They would never, and not even just white women, they would never drag white women, but they would never drag just like women, just other types of women. It's only black women. So to that, I say, fuck Aries Spears.
I can get behind that. And then the video clip that you had sent about Lizzo accepting that award, was that a direct response to the Aries Spears interview, or is that just her commenting on like the press who gives her a hard time?
A lot of people are associating it with what Aries Spears said to her.
Okay.
And he had an interview afterwards, after that moment happened, and he said he wished that she would have said his name, because he doesn't know if it was addressing him. But he needs clout. He needs a paycheck. No one's checking for him. And yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Okay. And how long ago did that interview take place?
This was like last week.
Last week. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, random. I wonder what he's doing that warranted an interview. Like, was he plugging something, or, you know?
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. And you know,
can we schedule an interview and talk about the time I was on that show, Mad TV, and the characters they did? Remember that?
And my thing is, even as a comedian, that you can't say everything. There's still a lot that you can't say. There are like fine lines that you can get to. Sure, of course, Dave Chappelle does it, as you mentioned. But even still, there is still, I feel like there is still even things that Dave Chappelle won't say. I mean,
I'm sure there are. I mean, I'm sure there are, but he in particular is an artist where when you watch his stuff, I mean, he is certainly deeply considered whatever he's going to say in a special.
Yeah.
And even though there might be things he won't, I don't know. I feel like if there was something that he cared enough about or thought was important enough, even if it was to rock the boat, so to speak, I feel like he'd bring it up, he'd say it. Maybe not. What do I know? I don't know, Mr. Chappelle.
I don't think he would talk about Lizzo's weight, though. I really don't. Like, I just don't see that happening.
I mean, because but I feel like that's just being a decent, kind person, which Chappelle, compared to Spears, maybe a higher class of person. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
So it's been thundery. It's been stormy here. At least the last week, we had some like pretty impressive like thunderstorms. Have there been any storms out your way?
No, the weather has been pleasant. And it's been, like, yesterday was really cool. It felt really fallish. And today is a little bit warmer, but it's still nice. There hasn't been any thunderstorms, actually.
Cool. Well, there was a couple this past week, and I found myself on my balcony, either editing or just chilling out there. And there was this gargantuan thunderstorm. And I mean, Florida, it's tropical. It's our wet season is pretty wet, but this was crazy. Like lightning strikes that are right in front of your face, and that immediately after you have that crash of thunder. And I found myself like really addicted to the thunder. Like there was this one crack that just whipped my head to the left. It was just a reaction that I had.
Wow.
And I remember thinking in that moment, like, oh wow, like me and that squirrel in the tree and that cat in the bush, like we all were the same in that moment, and that all our heads were jolted to where the thunder was coming from. And it was, I don't know, I had not been drawn to thunder like that before. Like I was like kind of addicted to it. I was like sitting there waiting for the next big crash. And something about the thought of like, man, that thunder is just ricocheting and echoing off of like a planet, just the surface of a planet. And it started to blow my mind. But it also occurred to me that thunderstorms and lightning, it's like nature's way of being spontaneous. It just kind of, in the moment, as it feels that way, or I guess as the chemical reactions will dictate, lightning and thunder, which got me thinking about just spontaneity in general, and just like the different moments in different ways that one can be spontaneous. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering, are there any moments that that you can think of where you were spontaneous and did something kind of out of the blue?
Of course.
or green or red, whatever color you'd like to choose, whichever color.
Yeah. I mean, of course. Yeah. Like I don't like boring everyday, it's so, because that's kind of like what society is, right? It's like just like being, on this particular schedule and going to sleep at a certain time and waking up at a certain time and going to work at a certain time and, sticking to that schedule. And, I kind of feel like it's like you're a subvert if you're like doing something spontaneous and you're like, you're against the grain almost. And that's kind of who I am. Like, I never chose the life of a subvert, but I just kind of sometimes I'm like, oh, everyone's doing that. I wonder what'll happen if I do this instead. So absolutely. There are so many amazing moments that I decided to be spontaneous. And so I don't know what year it was, but I had just turned 29. It was like my 29th birthday. I was like, I'm going to go to Paris. And I booked a flight. And I was only going for like a weekend. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And the flight was really cheap. I got like a whole package deal. It was the flight and the hotel. And I was like, I mean, it's my birthday. Like, I don't have anything else to do. And I have the money to do it. So let me just do it. So like my flight and hotel all together for like the weekend was like $600. And I was like, I am hopping on that shit. So I did. And it was like one of the best experiences of my life. First of all, it was my first international trip. I had never been out of the country before that. So I was really just like, look, let's just do it. Like we are out here. We are out here. So.
And that's such a trip the first time that you leave the States, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like a head trip, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so much going on. There's adrenaline, and you're excited, and you're a little nervous, but like, fuck that. And it was just, it turned out to be just incredible. And it was just so much fun. I didn't take French in high school or anything, so I didn't know a ton of French. But I made it work because a lot of people there do speak English, so you're able to navigate It was a lot of fun. I did a lot of stuff. And then I did I met a man, which was great. He was so much
You did, huh?
fun. Yeah, I met a couple men actually. And it was just so much fun. The food was amazing. I went to the Louvre, I went to Notre Dame. I walked around at night just not caring, and I just felt so
Yeah.
free. And it was the time of my life. It was incredible. I don't regret it. That was a spontaneous moment that worked out, and it just couldn't have gotten any better.
Yeah, there was when my family and I were over in Paris, we decided to we wanted to find Moulin Rouge, and so that's what the adventure of the early evening turned into. And we got to this point where we just climbed all the stairs. It was like hundreds of stairs, and we didn't really know where they led, but we decided to climb this tower of stairs. And at the top was a cathedral, like Paris does, another cathedral, or like Europe does, and so this was just a moment of spontaneity abroad, and at the top of the stairs was this cathedral, this church, and you go in, and there were these nuns dressed in white, and they were just getting on the pulpit, the stage, whatever, the center part of the church, and they started like Gregorian chanting, and it was beautiful and wonderful. And this was just like a normal mass for this neighborhood, for this town.
Wow.
And then after getting to hear that, we continued walking, and we were on this cobblestone street and this kind of pedestrian cafe kind of area. And this person is playing like accordion in this thoroughfare with lights strung up, and they were playing La Vie en Rose, and it was like such a iconic, just Parisian moment of hearing La Vie en Rose being played on accordion on this cobblestone street. And then eventually we did find the windmill to the original Moulin Rouge there. So yeah,
Nice.
Spontaneity abroad can be a fun thing.
Yeah.
Especially in a city like Paris. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's so many fun things to get caught up in.
Now, does spontaneity have a role in your artistic life?
That's an interesting question.
Is there any part of your process that is kind of affected or allows spontaneity in there? Because I know for a lot of the creative process, it's sometimes the thought or a lyric or something will spontaneously come to us, but a lot of it is kind of chipping away at the clay, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, sorry. So like with music, when I was more active with music, absolutely. I looked to get away from the norm, and because I never saw myself as like normal per se. So to try to write music that it was normal, it wouldn't have suited me. So yeah, absolutely. And even like with how like I do like Heaven's Cravings and things like that, like the videos I do are just they are spontaneous. Like I personally just can't do like boring food videos on my page, and so I'm always looking for ways to enhance them, and with comedic elements, or just I like to I don't like boringness. So like spontaneity is it's kind of a part of me. It's like I seek it. It's a thrill.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say in music, personally, spontaneity is involved in like the jam. So if you're with a group and you're just kind of improvising, I guess that's what improvisation really is. But outside of that, yeah, music is pretty structured as far as like my creative approach, I think. But with Kevin's Cravings, it's cool that you mentioned that. Man, with that, like all the shoots that we did were certainly that. I mean, we had the place, but the journey and the trip to the restaurant was always filled with opportunity, that we didn't know were there until it was presented. A cool shot at a train station. That one, I don't remember the place, but there was like a long border on the street. I'm like at the crosswalk. I'm like, all right, we got to get this shot. This shot's gonna be dope. Just being open to those things in the moment. Yeah, I love that about Kevin's Cravings.
Yeah, you were great with that. You would like capture all these shots, all these like cool shots that just worked. They really worked. And like as far as music, like how you were saying it was more structured for you. I think I don't know, like with you being a drummer, I feel like you don't have like as much opportunity to be spontaneous. I mean, drummers can be spontaneous, but I feel like you are more limited than like a vocalist or like a songwriter who writing the lyrics. I feel like naturally you're a bit more limited.
Yeah. I mean, everyone who's a musician who plays an instrument, vocalist included, they all are dealing with rhythms, but a drummer, the rhythm section more so than any other individual in a band, is having to consider rhythm in a more detailed way. And so just the very nature of that part of drumming is just, it's structured. It's the way it is. And yeah, like you were saying, the spontaneous moments are limited. I mean, yeah, because the singers and just the song structure itself dictates, I can't just change the groove here because I want to, because that is not what the song's about.
Yeah, your rhythm section.
The artist ones. Yeah, but there's certain things that I can do in the moment, like, depends on the genre, but like in hip hop, an example would be dropping the beat, deciding to, at a point in the song where I necessarily hadn't dropped the beat in like rehearsal, in a live moment, if you're reading the room, if you're feeling the vibe on the stage, you can do that and affect the song in a spontaneous way, to then bring the beat back, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the opportunities for a drummer to be spontaneous in that setting, kind of can be limited.
Yeah.
There was so there's being spontaneous, like out and about in the world, and I guess all of these were kind of technically out and about in the world, but outside of just trips abroad and music and creativeness, there's spontaneity in relationships with people. And I was wondering if you can't recall a date or a meeting or an event with somebody or a group that took a spontaneous turn. I have a couple in mind. I'm still trying to decide which one I might share.
Yeah. I think you would have to share first.
I see. You want to gauge. You want to know.
I mean, I need time to
where the conversation. Okay, that's fair.
I would have to.
That's fair. I can respect that. So the first one began on the. I guess it would have been the 4th, and I think this time. So my birthday's on the 5th, July 5th. So this was on July 4th, and this person and I, this was our first outing outside of work. We had been like acquaintances, and she worked in pediatrics, and we decided to just walk around, and we ended up at Central Park, and walking, talking, lovely conversation, lovely day. So already the plan to go to Central Park, we just met up in, it would have been Upper East Side, and then just picked a direction and walked. So we wind up at Central Park, a ways from the 60s and 70s. And then I find for the first time Bethesda's Fountain. That's what I love about spontaneity and not really thinking too much, because you pick a direction and you just stumble upon some of the coolest, most wonderful things. And so I got to see Bethesda's Fountain for the first time in Central Park, which was something I really liked from Angels in America. That was like a kind of a central location in that play. So it was cool to see it in person. and we walked the canals there and underneath vines and foliage, and it was just a wonderful, perfect summer day. And then we start to hear like a sound check happening. And we just kind of follow the sounds coming from the speakers wherever they were. Mm-hmm. And we, her and I stumble upon the New York Phil set up in an amphitheater in Central Park, getting ready to play. And I got to hear, was it Carnival of the Animals, I think was the first one. And then they ended up playing, it wasn't Dvorak, it was... I'll remember the composer, but it was a symphony that I had played in college, and it was like on my bucket list of things to see live, and by chance we stumbled upon this performance. There was a lawn full of people with like chairs and picnic blankets, but her and I just kind of happened upon the setting, and so we just put our sandals on the grass and sat on our shoes and found like a little patch in between picnic blankets and got to see the New York Phil play for free. It was wonderful.
Nice.
And then at the very end, there was like a big explosion, and we turned around and like the biggest firework display just out of nowhere, just at the end of the performance right behind us.
Wow.
And then so this is like our first date, and it's going this way.
Wow.
And so then we leave Central Park and make our way towards downtown. And it was probably like my first time really walking around and exploring downtown at that point. Mm-hmm. And we are by the water, and it was still very, very new, and I don't know what it's called, but do you know it's like a glass kind of archway of a building that's right on the water. The $1 million yachts will park here. Inside, it's marble with like very, very tall palm trees. Does this sound familiar? I don't know the name of this.
No, I'm not sure.
But it's some sort of like Central Mall or something right there downtown.
Okay.
But it wasn't open, and my date and I were just on the sidewalks of downtown, and there's like pedestrian overpasses, like walkways that you can access from the street to cross, because I think it was like a 6-lane stretch of road. Anyway, so we go into this pedestrian walkway, and there's a door up there that leads into the building that was open that definitely should not have been open. And so we walk inside, and like I said, it was just being finished. So like all the storefronts were up, everything was done, but not all the stores were open. That's the kind of state that things were in. But it's this like marble rotunda area lobby with huge tall palm trees inside. This kind of just staircase that goes up and up and up and up to a platform where I guess if there's a band or whatever. Anyway, it was like this big gargantuan kind of display, and it was just her and I. Wow. It was like, late night, 12, 1, 2 o'clock, and we're just walking around this whole thing. And then we end up outside by the expensive yachts, laying down on a wall, and my headphones are in her ears and her headphones are in my ears, and we're both playing our favorite music to each other.
Wow.
And we watched the sunrise, and I started my birthday, however old I was that year, like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That was quite lovely.
Yeah. The stars were aligned that night.
They were. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one instance. I've got another story that I might share, but depending on what you might have to say.
No, I think you should share it. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, like get into it.
Okay, well, this other instance, this was a Tinder date, and this was my one and only encounter with someone who is in the Scientology religion. And forget if we knew each other, if you knew this was going on while that was going on. But this date started with she said, well, I have to work, but meet me at work. Here's the address. And then we'll head out after, because she had to teach a class. And I get to the address, and it is a Scientology church. I think it's the one on 86th or something like that.
Okay.
And so so she had not talked to me about that. So that was my first, when I saw that building is when I realized, oh, okay, so she's in Scientology. Cool. So I go into the building, and she introduces me to her friend, and she says, well, I'm about to start the class. Meet so-and-so. She'll show you around and blah, blah, blah. Which she does, and she shows me where they keep their vitamins and what the vitamins do. And then she showed me L. Ron Hubbard's office. And every Scientology church has an office for L. Ron Hubbard, who is dead, and a desk who no one sits at. And the bookshelves are filled with these Scientology texts. Or they might be filled with, because he was a science fiction writer. Anyway, but it's this pristine office that no one uses but is there. And then we were sitting down, and they were like recruiting me into Scientology. And she's like, well, would you want to start a course? It's only this much. I had just started working at Sloan. I don't know that I had gotten my first paycheck. And I was like, oh man, I can't afford that. It was like, I don't know, 600, something ridiculous. And she says, I don't remember my date's name, but let's call her Lisa. And she said, well, I bet Lisa has some credits. I'm sure she wouldn't mind covering the cost of this and that. Like, they were going hard, like, trying to get me in. So Lisa finishes, and we head out, and we go downtown as well. And there was this outdoor park playground. It was cool. Like, I think it was an installation, so it was probably temporary, but it was like jungle vibes, like, I don't know, slides, whatever, in the midst of like trees and bamboo and all this kind of stuff. And then it started to raining, just like a torrential downpour.
Wow.
And the date was going well, and we found ourselves on a bench, and it was also late, and we may have expressed physically how well things were going. On the bench.
Okay.
In the rain. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, they tried to recruit you.
What an eventful day that was.
I'm sure. Like, how freaky is that? Like, whoa. Like, I felt like that proved to me that I'm pretty cool in most any situation. Oh, Scientology's trying to recruit me. I got this. No problem. I mean,
no problem.
Yeah, you're out of the two of us. You're definitely more chill than I am.
Nuh-uh, you don't say.
Yeah, some sarcasm.
just a tinge, just a pinch.
Yeah. I don't know how I would have. Wow, that's so interesting. And you were just so. I don't know what I would have said.
All right. Well, yeah. I don't know what you would have said. You probably just would have like politely excused yourself.
I don't know. I guess it's hard to say. Like when you're there, it's just like you're in the moment, and you just kind of do what you do.
Yeah. I had an experience last night. I went to this mixer at a bar nearby, and and got to talking to this woman who was there, and she seemed like very nice. She seemed a little older, but you know me, that doesn't bug me necessarily. And we started to talk, and very pleasant. And then we got into gun policy somehow. Just really weird and random, and I don't remember how we got there. And quickly realized I was talking to someone whose views on gun violence are not my views. And gun policy, in her view, that's not what we need to curb gun violence. It is I forget what her reasons were, but I like shut off at that point, and it was like 10 minutes of hearing her point of view and then saying, "Are the restrooms over there?" Okay, all right, that's cool, and I excused myself.
That's a good curve.
I mean, I thought that was the kindest way I could think to get out of that.
That's a really good curve. Did you come back?
I did, but I came back and then made a beeline to someone else I had been talking to. And so, so that encounter ended.
You handled that really well. That was really good.
Thank you. Thanks. Because in moments like that, it's like, all right, so know your setting, know your place, know your audience. I'm like, all right, so I'm not convincing anyone to join my team or, to think differently on gun violence. So let me just be polite, and I'll wait for the break in what she's saying, and then just bow out gracefully,
I mean, in moments like that, you kind of have to be spontaneous, right? Where you're just like, you're freestyling. And you're like...
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, that's... Oh, boy. What a situation.
That's interesting. Yeah, so busking is certainly spontaneous. When it's just you solo, yeah, a lot of that is... Like, because there's just the interactions with people, and certain people want requests, and certain people are chill. Certain people are more comfortable being a little closer. Some people want to hit your cymbal and all this kind of stuff. And interesting to think of all the different things that spontaneity can lead to. It's a well varied list of things.
Yeah. That's you're constantly encountering new people throughout the night while busking, and new personalities, and just kind of having to go along with it, and figure out different routes to take depending on the situation and what's happening. Like someone hitting your cymbal.
Because there's a million different ways to handle that situation. Like get up and be like, How'd you like it if I hit your drum? That's one way to handle it. Sure. What if I come over your place and hit your cymbal, huh? That's one way.
That's definitely the wrong way. But who am I to say that?
Way. Yeah. Want to get into a fight? Want to get into a scuffle? Respond to someone like this.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to kind of play it cool in those situations.
You do. And people are inebriated, and they've been drinking, and who knows what else. You gotta be patient with people.
Yeah.
There was this gentleman who I had seen walking around downtown before, and I had seen him. There's a cafe I'll go to on Sundays, usually to edit, and I just kind of get breakfast and get a drink and just kind of sit there. And then a weekend or two ago, he was playing there at the cafe. I'm like, oh man, I had just seen him the night before busking. I'm like, hey dude, yeah, it's the drummer from the corner. And he was like tasty, and I liked his vibes and his style. And so I saw him last night.
Okay.
I still don't know his name, and he doesn't have a phone, so I gave him my number. But he actually had like a paper notebook that he just took out and like wrote my number down on. I'm like, you're dope. That's cool.
Nice.
And I couldn't help myself. I'm like, well, if you like stationery that much, you should. I'll send you a fountain pen that you might like a fucking moron. Anyway, and he was taking down my number because he's a great player, and he was talking about busking together or maybe jamming together because I guess he gigs a lot downtown. And he was like. At one point in the conversation, he's like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry, man. I'm really drunk and like a little coked out, and I just the version of myself right now." You can tell that he was just being so self-conscious.
Yeah.
But from where I was standing, if he hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have guessed anything. He seemed normal.
Yeah.
But when he said that comment about like the version of himself, I'm like, man, but isn't the present version of ourselves the best version of ourselves? Try to get him to use that positive self-love language. You know, it can't be, even if you're coked out, you know, still love yourself. You're still a good person.
Well, I don't know that he didn't love himself. It sounded like he was just trying to let you know that he may not be able to keep up.
Yeah, he was a little self-conscious, but and I've been there. So I always, whenever I see another human in that situation, I do my best to appease them and to make them feel comfortable. It's okay. You can be your current version of yourself. All good here.
Yeah. I won't judge. But, you know, I think it's cool that he was aware, and he was like self-conscious, as you said.
He was, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the people who are that way, who are oblivious to the assholes they're being, that are the issue.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes. We don't want them. We don't know. We don't want that. That's not the type of spontaneity we're going for here. No.
Keep that at the fucking door, please. Get that shit out of here.
Go away. Go away. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think being spontaneous is a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. You know, I can't be boring, and I can't get too routine. You know, I need some thrill, and I need to switch it up sometimes, or otherwise I will get bored, and I don't want that. It's no way to live.
Yeah, it's not, and it's simply making the choice. If you're listening and you feel like, well, I'm not such a spontaneous person now that I'm thinking about it, it's just making the choice to make a choice. You know, if you're doing nothing, choose to do something. You know, if you're listening, instead of going left, how about turning right? Assuming that there's not a wall or anything. I don't want anyone getting into accidents or anything. But if you're thinking of going one way and the other way's open and free, go for it. I would say try it, explore, go somewhere you've not been before, and you never know who you might meet, and you never know what other things might happen that'll change the trajectory of your life forever, in a good way.
Yes, of course. Be safe while doing it.
And thank you so much for tuning in. We love being with you here. Be sure to check us out if you have a moment. What are we on, Kev? We're on Instagram, I think, and we're on
We're on
TikTok.
Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're all over.
Oh, YouTube, that's right. Man, you can't make a left or a right or go straight or turn around without seeing us. Here we are.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, as always, I love hanging. Thanks
too.
for joining. And we will both catch you all right here next time. This has been Vibeable. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts.